Hello, today I'm going to be taking a look at the Innokin Endura T18-2 vape pen or starter kit, and I'm also going to do a bit of a beginner's guide. I haven't really done one of these before, and as this kit is basically aimed at new vapors, I'm probably going to go in a bit more detail and explain a bit more of the basics than I would do normally. So just be warned that I may ramble a bit on a bit more than usual. So when you open the box and take everything out of it, you will have the Endura T18-2 battery, the Prisma T18 tank, a recharge cable, a spare drip tip, an O-ring set, and also a magnetic cap, which I'll cover more in a bit. So we looked over the overview was in there. Now let's go through the constituent parts. So the one I'll start with is the Prisma T18 tank. So the tank, I'll just go through the components of it quite quickly. You've got the magnetic cap there, good part there. So that is the cover, that's your drip tip. This is a standard fitting drip tip, so people who have their own drip tips can put other ones in there. Or if you don't like this one, you can go out and buy another one, putting it in if you want. You probably won't need to. This is a very good drip tip. Then the tank, you have, it's what's known as top fill, which basically means, unsurprisingly, you unscrew the top to fill up your tank. Simple part there. And then the bottom part is how you put in and replace your coil, and that's what I'll go through next. Right, so setting up and replacing and what's known as priming your coil. So basically on this tank it's very simple. You just unscrew the bottom part there and then you have access to your coil. To replace the coil, and this is the best, or one of the good things about this tank and this setup, is that the coil is just press fit in. You don't have to mess around screwing it in. Now lots of other devices you have to screw the coil into the tank itself, and that can be quite difficult to do because sometimes they can be over tightened and you can't get your coil out, and it can cause lots of problems. But this one is just so easy to do because it's just press fit. So what you do is you just hold on to the connector at the bottom and just pull out the coil, and there you have your coil taken out of the tank. Now you can see there, the reason to say that, because as soon as you take the coil out, there's just a big gap through, and anything that's left in this tank is going to come out of the bottom of your drip tip. So make sure it's empty when you replace the coil. So the coil itself, basically what the coil is a roll of metal wire with cotton around or through it. So what you can see through the sides there, that is the cotton. So that's what is going to wick up and apply the e-liquid to your coil when it heats up and vaporizes the vapor that you then vape. So to install this coil is the exact opposite to what I said. So you have your empty clean tank here, you have your coil here, and then what you do is you can see on the tank there are those little cutouts. Matching up these little cutouts on the side of the coil, you just marry those two up, slide the coil in, marry those two up, which is easier to do when you're not on camera. You just marry those two up there, get it perfectionist, just like that, and then you just push the coil all the way in, and then that is the coil inside your tank. And you take this other bit there, which is basically just like a securing cap to make sure your coil is nice and secure in your tank, and then you have your coil inside your tank. Right, so filling the tank with e-liquid, you have the top cap there. You just simply unscrew the top cap, and there you have your juice well there. So basically the e-liquid goes down the side in between the coil and the wall of the tank. You never want to put the juice directly into that hole because then you will mess up your coil. And this is going to be a good one because I've never done this on camera before. So this is probably going to be a complete mess, but here we go. So you have your tank here, you have your e-liquid. Now on this one I'm just using a very standard generic e-liquid that you could buy. It's basically like a shop home brand, which is pretty much what most people would start with when you start vaping. I've been testing this tank with this style of juice just to make sure it works well with this sort of liquid, and it really does. And it has actually allowed me to take a little trip back in time, enjoying a flavour that I haven't had for a long time, which is red energy. Right, so now let me try to get this on camera and not mess anything up. So you've got your e-liquid, it goes in here, right here between the coil and the tank. Squeeze that in there, and then what you do is you look in that side, that window there, and keep an eye on it to see when it has filled up liquid. And that's pretty much good enough. So now you can see there that the liquid hasn't come up all the way to the top and isn't flooding the coil. It's just sitting there nicely in the well. But when I screw on the top cap here, to make sure you don't want to over tighten the cap, just make sure it's a tight fit, but you want to be able to unscrew it again. That's one thing that people do mostly when they're new to vaping, is that they overfill or over tighten the top cap and then have a trouble getting it off. It's a natural thing to do, just realize you don't have to be too heavy handed with it. So now you can see there, obviously when I put it on the side, it isn't that full, but I can see that that tank is full of liquid. Now, one important part when dealing with electronic cigarettes is charging and safety. Now, I'm not going to go on about this too lengths because I'm no expert in it, but when you buy an electronic cigarette, go to a reputable store, go to a local bricks and mortar store and seek their advice. When you're buying your kit, obviously it comes with a charge cable. When you're in the shop, also buy an adapter. A standard USB plug adapter. Now the reason I say that is because different chargers charge at different capacities. So do not take your iPhone or your Samsung charger plug and plug in your cable and plug it into this, because it may put too much charge and strain the battery. And that's when you hear all of these stories in the newspaper about batteries blowing up because people charge them and don't treat them appropriately. So when you're buying a kit, also buy yourself one of these and only use that, and only use the cable provided. Don't just get some cable that you've got off of eBay and go, oh, they're all the same, that'll work fine. When you're dealing with things like batteries, safety is imperative, and I would always recommend you do that. Now to charge it, it's very simple. On the back there is your USB charger. You just literally plug in that into there, and then plug that into there, plug that into the wall, and then you charge it. Again, another recommendation, do not put it onto charge and then go out. Do not put it onto charge and then go to bed. Always charge them when you are going to be around, just in case anything was to happen. So we've put the coil in the tank, we have put liquid into the tank. Now, if you are filling your tank up for the first time, if it's a brand new coil, it is always recommended to leave it to sit and rest for about 10-15 minutes to allow the liquid to saturate the coils, and basically this is to stop what's known as a dry hit, basically where you are taking a drag from your vape and the coil burns because there isn't enough liquid to feed the coil. So the next thing to do is to put your tank onto your mod or battery in this case. So you take your mod and your atomizer, and you just screw it in like so until it's flush. Again, this is something that you'll get with practice, but most people, when they first get a vaping setup, they screw that on far too tightly onto that and then have trouble getting it off. Best thing to do is just don't be too heavy-handed with it. You just basically want it so that it doesn't unscrew itself in your pocket or something. So just a little twist there, but you want to leave it so as you can unscrew it easily once you're finished with it. Right, so now we can talk about the rest of the vaping kit. So obviously you've got your tank stuff that went through earlier. Below the tank you have an airflow control. Basically you can see there, if you open up, you can see there are 4 holes there. And that basically just shows how much air is going to go into or go through the coil when you take a vape. Now it's all personal preference. I like to have quite a tight draw, so I will always just have the 1 hole open, and for me that gives a very good approximation of smoking a cigarette, which when you're starting off a vaping, that's what you want. So you've got your mod here, and you can see there below the airflow control there are 3 holes which are lights. So to turn the device on, it's 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, and there you go, and now it's on. And then you press the button and it goes, and see, light up goes there. So when you press it on, it lights up, and then when you're finished, it flashes there. Now those flashes afterwards, I'll show you your battery level. Currently it's flashing 3 lights, which means my battery is fully charged. Now to turn it off, it's 3 clicks again, and it just tells you, yep, I'm off now. And if you press the button, nothing happens, nothing lights up. Now this comes with 3 power levels, a low, a medium, a high. So at the moment, if I press and hold the button when it's turned off, it starts cycling through the 3 levels. So that's your low, that's your medium, that's your high. Now I normally vape this on the high level, but because this is a new coil, and if it's your first time, I would say start off on the lowest level and then see how you get on. You can always turn it up and down as you want. And like I said, it's all down to personal preference from here on in, how you vape it, how many air holes you have open, what power level you have it set at. Whatever works best for you and whatever gives you the most enjoyment, that's the one to use. Right, so that's the explanation and the in-depth waffling on about how to set this thing up. Let's go into what I would usually do now, and we'll go into the pros and cons. The pros on this are manifold and the cons are tiny. So from the pros things, it's a very simple design. Literally it's 3 clicks on, 3 clicks off. When it's turned off, hold it to change your power level. It's just designed well with the tank. I said it isn't actually a new tank, but it works flawlessly. Again, that goes into the ease of use. Easy to refill, having the top fill on it is a standard, is a nice sized juice well at the side, the wall of the tank and the coil, so it makes it very easy to refill. Best things is it's so easy to change the coil. I think for people with dexterity issues, it will be very good because you don't have to fiddle about with a tiny little coil trying to screw it in and out, and you don't have to take everything apart. You can literally just, oh, my tank's empty and I need a new coil. Whack off the bottom, take out the coil, whack in a new one, boom, you're done. It works well with all the juices I've tried. Like I said, I've tried the basic juice, which is what I used in this video. I've used Nick salts. I've used my own juice that I make up, and it works well with all of them. On the con side, because this is like a starter kit, there aren't a huge amount of cons to look at because it's a very simple kit. I mean, the only thing that I could possibly think of is the magnetic cap. The fact that you could theoretically lose the magnetic cap. It's definitely grasping for things to find wrong with it, but that's something just to be aware of. So in conclusion, would I recommend this kit? Well, the fact that I've gone to great lengths to just talk about it, you should have guessed by now that I would. So yeah, basically what I would say is if somebody came up to me tomorrow and said, I'm thinking of starting vaping, not only would I recommend this, I'd probably go out and buy one for them and say, here, try this. For the price, I think it was about £25 I paid for it. I mean, that's what, 2.5 packets of cigarettes now. It's worth a try if you're interested in getting off smoking and think vaping might work for you. I would highly recommend getting this kit. That's kind of pretty much all I could say about it. So thanks for watching and staying with this very waffling video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next time.